Tallinnas toimunud rahvusvaheline maastikuarhitektide kongress andis eriala spetsialistidele võimaluse tähelepanu juhtida lünkadele maastike, eriti just linnamaastike kujundamisel. Kongressil jagati kogemusi ja arutati, kuidas teha paremini oma tööd üha kiiremini kasvavates, muutuvates ja arenevates linnades. Maastikuarhitektide eesmärgiks on sekundeerida ehitustegevusele ja muuta linnaruum hästi funktsioneerivaks ja inimsõbralikuks keskkonnaks. Meile andis see võimaluse uurida, kuidas on lood maastiku kujundamisega Eestis ja eriti meie pealinnas Tallinnas, kust kongress aset leidis.
Eesti Maastikuarhitektide Liit loodi 2003. aastal. Praeguse seisuga on meil liikmeid 49 inimest. Võtsime tõepoolest endale sellise julguse, et korraldada selline rahvusvaheline maastikuarhitektuuri kongress, aga see üldse tegelikult ei sõltu sellest liikmete arvust, mis meil on, sest tegelikult maastikuarhitekte Eestis töötab ikkagi tiba rohkem kui need, kes meile liitu kuuluvad. Üle 10 aasta juba ei ole neid EFLA regionaalseid kongresse korraldatud, nii et seetõttu meie kongressiga justkui algatame selle traditsiooni uuesti, aga iga-aastaselt on käinud kohal Brüsselis küll EFLA üldkoosolek ja seetõttu, et seekord see kongress nüüd toimus Tallinnas, siis me ühtlasi tegime ka ettepaneku, et see üldkoosolek võiks toimuda siis samaaegselt Tallinnas.
And what I've been truly impressed by is the enthusiasm, the youth, the energy that's gone into this whole process, which is phenomenal, and I think everybody needs to be praised incredibly highly. Landscape architecture is an enormous profession, one that I believe even we as landscape architects don't really recognize its fullest extent. And so I think we have the gaps between the professionals of landscape architecture who don't necessarily understand what it is everybody else does. It's very specialist, but it's immensely diverse. And it covers a whole range of things. Actually, we cover everything in terms of design from master planning of cities, towns, small countries, right down to the intimacy of private gardens. But within that, we are talking about health, welfare, culture, heritage, the landscape itself, socioeconomics, politics, finance. So the gaps between each of those practicing professionals covering their own specialism, let alone the gap between the professional and the people. Whatever it is we do, it's about people, because you have to live, I have to live there. You know, just because I'm a landscape architect doesn't mean to say I'm completely separate or live on another planet from where people have to live, work, relax and play. So it's immensely important that we try and infill those gaps, that we recognize it's not only the landscape architect that will resolve these issues. I think one of the things I'm most proud about of landscape architects is their ability to be collaborative, to bring in the right professionals to the team from the very beginning. But of course what we've suffered from as landscape architects is perhaps not always being in the team from the beginning.
Võib-olla siin, mis on vajaka jäänud või vajaka jääb, on see koostöö ilmselt erinevate valdkondade vahel. Siin ma mõtlen arhitektuuri ja maastikuarhitektuuri ja võib-olla ka inseneeria valdkonnas, et kõik teevad omi asju, võib-olla püüavad kõike korraga koos teha, et see koostöö koht võib-olla natuke kehvapoolne. Enamasti arhitektid tegelevad ikkagi sellise päris urbaanse keskkonnaga ja ütleme, et vahetud hoone lähedased alad, mida tihtipeale siis maastikuarhitektid ka teha soovivad ja tahavad, et neid siis tehakse hoonete arhitektide poolt ära ja vastupidi siis jälle sellised alad võib-olla, mis hoonetega otseselt seotud pole, jäävad ainult maastikuarhitekti teha, nii et eks siin võib-olla ka niisugune natuke loogiline jaotus on.
While working in St. Petersburg, did you have time to visit Estonia?
Actually, believe it or not, during living in Soviet time, I never had a chance to be in Tallinn, even live so close. The first time I came to Tallinn 2 years ago from New Zealand. And I was impressed by, it's always very good reconstruction works, and in old Tallinn, in old city, is very, very impressive. Of course, a lot of new development, new skyscrapers, new globalization waves. Of course, I was impressed by the development of the profession. There are 3 schools in landscape architecture for such a small country. Very impressive. Even like I was in New Zealand, there's 4 million people, okay, and we have 3 schools. And it's really developing well, very international resonance. And these conferences are very big achievements. And now it's Estonian landscape architecture is much more visible. So it's a blooming profession, and I think it's great, having a great future. At the same time, you have a lot of landscapes like everywhere else. It's the face of reality. It's just like a very childish disease that we're having, especially the first step with the market economy. The same I can tell from my Russian colleagues. It's a lot of similar landscapes, unfortunately. But it's a normal way of the development. I'm sure with a lot of nature here, it's will be finally will go into the more sustainable way.
I think in each one of our projects we start with what is unique about the place. So we do quite a bit of analysis on the history of the place, the culture, the environmental aspects, the ecology, the people, how they use spaces. So we really start with the place as the starting point, and every project's different. We're not decorating, we're solving major environmental problems often. I mean, in the case of the Singapore project, it was about flooding, it was about how do you create freshwater reservoirs, and then how you create natural environments and parks around that. But usually it starts with some kind of fairly fundamental environmental problem. And then, yes, there's a different scale of project, which is probably more related to the architecture or the building and the landscaping of an environment around that. But I think landscape has the potential to really be at the forefront of a lot of urban and town planning.
Kas teie kui praktiseeriv maastikuarhitekt võite täheldada, et ka Eestis on ikka samad tendentsid?
Ega me siis globaliseerumist ei pääse. Ja teinepidi, ega see ju pole, see on lihtsalt normaalne nähtus maailmas, et asjad lähevad üldisemaks ja kõik on kättesaadavam ja kas või reisiminegi, et võime siin büroosse minna, homme oleme Indias või kus iganes, eks. Aga võib-olla kahju on sellest, et tihtipeale see maastik või see ruum siis muutub isikupäratuks, või näotuks või ta saab ta sellise võib-olla see kajutise iseloomuga näo, mis ei kõnele inimesega, et see on selle globaliseerumise kõrvalprodukt, et sellest on kahju. Ja teie tõite siis oma ettekandes ka välja niisugused olulised punktid, mida peaks kindlasti üks maastikuarhitekt silmas pidama, nagu näiteks traditsiooni ja kultuuripärandi austamine ja arvesse võtmine. Et mis siin Eestis traditsiooni arvesse võtmine, mida see tähendab maastiku kujundamisel? No võib-olla ilmselt seda, et meil pole ükski koht ilma ajaloota. Et isegi kui me ei saa seda ajaloo kuidagi kasutada või presenteerida või kui see on marginaalne selles koha kontekstis, et vähemalt võiks kujunduste puhul ja maastiku arhitektuursete objektide puhul siis kas välja tuua selle töö käigus või siis töös endas, et tõepoolest siin ei ole midagi, millega seostada või seostu, aga sageli jääb see etapp üldse ära, et sellest oli võib-olla ka minu näpuviibutus või selline mure, et seda lihtsalt ei näe ja teine asi ikkagi, kui me tegeleme puhtalt sellise visuaalse poolega, ehk siis huvitavate elementide vormidega, et siis kahjuks see raskuspunkt kaobki just selle visuaali poole peale ja seda seost kohalikuga jääb vähemaks või seda üldse puudub. Selge see, et see kunst on huvitav ja see, mis tegelikult alati tegijat ennast kütkestab, et saaks nagu teha midagi kihvti ja atraktiivset. Aga siis, kui inimene tuleb sellesse ruumi ja ta tunneb ennast seal võõralt, et siis see ei ole hea tulemus.
Kas Eestis on, et pärast seda nõukogude aega just nimelt tahaks teha midagi võõrast?
Kas Eestis ei ole see mitte reaktsioon, siis ma arvan, et eks ta kindlasti on ja see on ka loomulik, et me tahamegi seda samast euroopalikku keskkonda endal siin näha ja ilmselt see väga tihti on täiesti õigustatud, aga lihtsalt, et selle pesuveega viskaks siis ta oma ka päris välja, et see on see mure, et kui meil on igal pool üks Brüssel, et siis milleks Brüsselisse minna?
Globalization is interesting, but what is so fantastic about landscape as opposed to architecture is that it can never be globalized. Yes, you can transplant and transport plants and use techniques from one region to another, but really you're starting from the soil, from the natural conditions of the place where you're building. And we do always try and start with what is local, what is there at the site.
Your examples were very big-scale projects, and I mean need a lot of money. And maybe one can say that landscape architecture a little bit of luxury. Is it?
I think it's about having a sort of joined-up thinking about a building project. You know, building projects are always expensive, and it's really where you spend the money and where you find value and quality. And the landscape is often the thing that people see and touch and engage with. You know, that is should be one of the most valuable parts of a building project. But so much money goes into other things, and if we can be a bit clever about drainage systems, and if we can be a bit clever about energy, lighting, power systems, then we can save money and actually invest it in the landscape. So it is expensive. There's always an expense, but it's about how the money's being used and if it's being used intelligently or not.
Of course, we have to educate each other in terms of the profession, but we have to educate those other professionals from the built environment, because if all we're doing is talking amongst ourselves, then probably we'll all end up knowing what the problems are, and we know what the solutions are, but nobody's doing anything about it. So it's vital that we speak to the other professionals in the built environment, the architects, the engineers, but also the politicians, because just like everybody else within the public, landscape architecture is misunderstood from a political point of view. And of course, nothing happens without political acceptance, because they will be saying to you, well, actually, this all boils down to economics and finance. You prove to me why a particular approach to development or a particular approach to water management, etc., is going to be of benefit to me, the politician, who is only looking for one thing, re-election in however many years' time. And I have to be the face to the public that says, I can justify this. So when you look at cities like Copenhagen, where one politician, or maybe a few politicians, were brave enough to say, okay, I'm going to go with your idea. Cars in the city are not a good thing. How can we make this place somewhere that people really want to live, Spaces that are intimate, spaces that people accept from our level, not from an aeroplane, not on a plan, not on a beautified drawing, but reality, a practical sense of, yeah, I want to go and sit there, I want to go and have a coffee there, I want to go to that building to work. And that, takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. As I say to most audiences, it's not going to happen by somebody else deciding for you. If you want it to happen, just as here in Estonia, the association, the union wanted it to happen, they've made it happen. So do it yourself. Go out there, be that ambassador, be the person that gets in the face of those who need to know.
Yeah, basically our main field of action today is not so much the old city, although we're working with it as well, but also the new city, because in Europe cities are still growing. They become bigger and bigger, although the population is rather shrinking. And in this process is integrated a whole set of challenges we have to face, or we are already facing. One was the challenge of industrial areas, which become part of the city now because the city is growing around it. So the areas which have been pushed outside the city in the 20th century become now part of the inner city and could become, and that's the challenge, important parts of our city life. And the question is what to do with it. The second question is what to do with waste. So the city is growing around areas of waste compounds, but also the growing demand for leisure facilities and leisure possibilities for the city people makes that we want to do something with these places. So what can we do with that? The third is the big challenge of traffic. So when we were producing motorways, and now the cities grow around the motorways. And usually we're not changing or adapting these systems to an urban system, but we're keeping them as they are, or we put them underground, which costs an enormous amount of money. Both systems, because we're creating streets. In these projects I face that I try to make the people understand that we have to find ways how to integrate the technical structures. It's not about camouflaging them, covering them, making them disappear, but rather taking that opportunity and do something special with them, because they are interesting. They can make our life more thrilling. The suburbs look all the same, and these objects are possibilities to make areas very special.
And all these motorways, this is a very big challenge to every town.
It is a very big challenge,
and how can we solve it, and how in this landscape architecture?
There are certainly many possibilities, but what we did, with one example I was showing, was transforming that motorway, saying, okay, we do not need to go by 120 kilometers per hour through a city, or even 80. We can shrink that down to 50. And the second is make it a boulevard, make it part of the city. The street is the origin of European culture. It was the base. Without the street, nothing would have been possible. And we have to regain that spaces for the city. And if we make them part of our city, the city can reorientate to these areas, which are the main arteries of orientation, of trade, of leisure, etc. And that's what we did in Luxembourg. We made it a boulevard with many trees, with public transport. And that's the place where the restaurants are, the main entrances to most of the buildings, and buildings which had been facing backwards, following the old strategy of the functional city, where a car drives on a motorway, drives off, goes around the building into a parking lot, and then you go into the building. We turned that around, and it works. The challenge is to convince traffic consultants, to convince politicians that you shouldn't drive fast anymore, and that we drive on a normal street.
Well, I think overall the committee work was excellent. We managed to develop a wonderful event. The team behind the committee was as well extremely dedicated. So as most of our guests had noticed, we are quite young comparing to most of our colleagues from other sides of Europe. But overall, I think that young part gave us the energy and the creativity to develop something a little bit out of the usual, or out of what is the normal congresses in landscape architecture. So in that way, I think we were able to create a really solid program, a really exciting program at the same time, really interesting topics in a present contest in landscape architecture. So in that way, I think we were really able to work and cooperate and develop a really strong strategy for almost a year that took to develop that. So in that way, I think the work was extremely good. So that will take us back to 2009, when our Estonian Landscape Architects Union was developing, let's say, and with that our first international event, when we invited the IFLA president, Diane Menzies from New Zealand, and the EFLA president, Fritz Ovek, to come and make us a visit to Estonia. And at that time, they were quite excited and with the recent developments in Estonia, and they proposed us, why not to take it to the next level and to organize the event here. And the president of EFLA quite insisted, because at that time EFLA was the only region from IFLA that didn't actually have a regional congress. And I thought that was a wonderful idea, first to introduce a tradition in EFLE, and secondly to bring the first event to Estonia. So it was basically 2 in 1. And I think that was basically the big motivation behind. And at the same time to open to the international level Estonia, as it's a small country and we need to basically to open our borders to the outside. So in that way, opening our borders means that we will do a really big effort to show to the European level that Estonia is actually doing something in landscape architecture, and in that point showing the good results that we have here as well. So for the Estonian contest, I think that this event was extremely remarkable because we opened the borders to the landscape environment in European level, and I think especially Estonians could benefit to have a really exciting program, really exciting keynote speakers with really updated and contemporary ideas. At the same time, we also had about 71 speakers mainly from Europe, but from worldwide as well. And I think that overall allowed the Estonians to as well learn, to improve their skills and to develop the profession in Estonia. In a present situation, I think that we cannot afford to be isolated, but we need just to cooperate, especially on the European level, with all our colleagues, because the main issues and main concerns are exactly the same. For the European level side, and especially for EFLE, I think that this was a really good starting up. EFLE, until the present moment, didn't have any tradition in having a regional congress. So this will as well allow them to bring all the community of landscape architects from European level together and to share their own ideas. At the same time, to develop something for the future that everyone can participate and be integrated and cooperate as well. Overall, I think our event went extremely well. We are extremely proud to head host here around 300 people. I think that the overall feedback was extremely positive. It was a refreshing event and a refreshing starting for EFLE. So I hope that we can see everyone here once again in Tallinn in the near future.